Before we get into today's show, let me tell you about the latest deal from Mike Lindell, MyPillow. Once again, the big box stores have canceled their orders simply because they don't agree with Mike Lindell's politics. They don't like it because he supports President Trump. Well, he's going to pass that savings on to you. No more middleman. And boy, does he have some great deals on the Giza Dream sheets and the Percal bed sheets. Listen to this. Giza Dream queen size, normally $139.98. Your wholesale price, $69.99 when you use promo code Joey. King size, only $79.99. The Percal queen size, normally $89.98. Your wholesale price, $29.98 when you use promo code Joey. Just call 1-800-893-4059 or go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. Free shipping options available. This allotment's not going to last very long. When they're gone, they're gone. mypillow.com. Promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Shalom from day 2 in Israel, broadcasting from the Jewish News Syndicate. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered immediate and powerful strikes just down the road in the Gaza Strip yesterday after an Israeli military official told the media that Hamas had violated the ceasefire once again. I'll be sharing with you also today a conversation I had with Uri Avouskine about what the people of Israel really believe about the peace agreement with Hamas and where he thinks we are headed. Also today, Senate Democrats on Tuesday blocked Republicans' 13th attempt to reopen the government after having nearly a week to mull over their options. Pressure is starting to boil over with a series of drop-dead deadlines rapidly closing in, not to mention SNAP benefits, and for the first time yesterday, air traffic controllers were not paid. I have the details on that as well.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills, but I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
Well, we're following the breaking developments out of the Middle East, a dangerous turn in what was supposed to be peace. And I got to tell you, as someone who is in Jerusalem, it's a little bit hitting closer to home, as I know just literally down the road, this unrest is there. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu ordered what his office is calling immediate and powerful strikes inside the Gaza Hamas Strip. Once again, as Hamas violated the ceasefire. According to Israeli military officials speaking to media yesterday, Hamas fighters attacked Israel Defense Forces soldiers in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Now, folks, this is exactly the kind of scenario Israel feared when they agreed to this U.S. brokered ceasefire earlier this month. It's the classic Hamas playbook. Sign a truce with one hand and fire rockets with the other. And I think that's sort of what the Israeli people have come to expect from Hamas. And as I mentioned, I'll be sharing with you a conversation I had yesterday with an Israeli who is a little bit apprehensive about just where this whole ceasefire is headed. After the attack, the Prime Minister did not mince words. He ordered the military to respond, quote, with immediate and powerful strikes. Let's remember, just earlier this month, 2 IDF soldiers, Major Yaniv Kula, age 26, and Staff Sergeant Itai Yavetz, only 21, were killed in Rafah during what Israeli officials called a severe ceasefire violation. Once again, according to reports, we're seeing that again in the Gaza Strip. According to Israeli investigators, a Hamas cell emerged from one of their infamous tunnels, and there are tunnels all throughout that area. That's why it's so dangerous. They opened fire on an Israeli excavation vehicle. That ambush killed both soldiers and severely wounded other people in the area. A reserve soldier who had to be airlifted out for treatment, we're told. Israel responded with a major operation, air and ground strikes across southern Gaza, taking out over 6 kilometers of underground terrorist infrastructure using more than 120 munitions. That's the underground network, of course, that Hamas has used for years now to hide weapons move fighters, plan attacks. The same network built under schools, mosques, and hospitals because they know that they're safe there. Now, the most recent incident, the one that triggered Netanyahu's latest orders, remains short on details. What we do know is that it violated the ceasefire that went into effect October the 10th, an agreement, again, brokered by Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and other U.S. officials. That deal was supposed to pause the war, which, remember, has now dragged on for just over 2 years. In exchange for hostage release, and we got the hostages, we still are waiting on remains from some of the deceased hostages, but we thought it was headed in the right direction. Of course, it also involved freeing some Palestinian prisoners, which they got that into the bargain. And for a short period of time, it kind of looked like progress. Hostages coming home, aid was flowing in. But again, anyone who knows Hamas, and the Prime Minister certainly does, knows this was probably bound to happen. I'm not sure that any of the Israelis really believed that once and for all this was going to be peace. But hey, you got to start somewhere, right? And let's be clear about who Hamas is. This isn't some misunderstood political movement. It's not a so-called resistance group. It's a terrorist organization, plain and simple, whose founding charter calls for the destruction of Israel. They want to eliminate Israelis off of the face of the earth. Every ceasefire they've ever signed has been a tactic. In some ways, a way to regroup, rearm, and then come back and strike again. Maybe we're just naive to think this was it. We've seen the movie before. Ceasefire after ceasefire, then another ambush, another tunnel, another rocket barrage aimed at civilians in Tel Aviv or other parts, Ashkelon or other parts of Israel. And every time, Israel defends itself. And unfortunately, when they do, the world cries foul. The United Nations convenes emergency sessions. Western media wrings its hands. But what else is Israel supposed to do? Are the Israeli people supposed to literally sit on their hands and let their soldiers and their civilians be murdered and its people live under this rocket fire? The left loves to talk about proportional response. But tell me this, how do you respond proportionally to a terror group that hides behind civilians, that stores rockets in schools and under hospitals? They dig the tunnels all throughout those areas where they know children will be playing. They're literally using children as shields. Who does that? There's no proportional way to deal with evil. You have to defeat it. That's what Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Donald Trump is trying to do. Defend his people. Netanyahu is just defending his country, defending the very idea that free nations have a right to exist in peace. Now, here's what's interesting politically. Now, I want you to imagine if terrorists came through tunnels under, let's say, Chicago or San Diego or Los Angeles or New York. They killed American soldiers. They violated a U.S. brokered ceasefire. Would any president tell our military to, quote, exercise restraint? Of course not. The American people would demand action, just as the Israeli people are demanding action now. They want peace. They don't want to live in fear all the time. Make no mistake, Prime Minister Netanyahu's government is under tremendous pressure at home. As I've talked to Israelis all around the city yesterday in Jerusalem, the Israelis are tired. The war, which started after the October 7th Hamas massacre, has taken a heavy toll in a lot of different ways. Families are mourning. Hostages still missing. Still bodies yet to be returned. And after over 2 years of fighting, many hope this ceasefire might mark a turning point. But once again, Hamas shattered that illusion, proving again you cannot make peace with terrorists. You can negotiate all you want. You can put the carrots out in front of them. But it's not always going to work when you're dealing with people like Hamas, who does not care about life. They do not mind giving up their life in order to fight for their cause. So let's talk about those tunnels, because this is important. Hamas has spent hundreds of millions of dollars building literally an underground city. these tunnels and bunkers that gives them the advantage in that area. They didn't use that money to build schools or hospitals. They didn't invest in clean water or power infrastructure for their people. No, they built tunnels to wage war, and now they're crying victim when Israel hits back. That's the same propaganda playbook they used for years. They fire the rockets from apartment buildings. They hide behind women and children, then broadcast images of rubble to win sympathy in the West. And unfortunately, too many in our own media fall for it every single time. So where do we head from here? Does the world condemn Netanyahu for his response? And again, what is a proportional response? Where do we go next? That's the big question. If this ceasefire is officially dead, and it very well could be, Israel is likely to relaunch its operations in Gaza full force until they finally finish the job. Let's be honest, those summer vacations and backyard barbecues added some extra pounds, right? But instead of feeling guilty or falling further behind, it's time to reset, drop the weight, and get back in control. The solution isn't a shot. Real lasting weight loss starts with your mind, not your mouth. At PhD Weight Loss, Dr. Ashley Lucas and her team help you uncover the real reasons behind your weight gain so that you can reprogram the way you think about food forever. PhD clients lose up to a third of their body weight without ever taking a drug. I know because I lost 33 pounds with PhD Weight Loss. Through real food, behavioral coaching, and proven science, your body can become a natural fat-burning machine. Why risk spending thousands on shots that strip away muscle, come with dangerous side effects, and leave most people regaining 60% of the weight within a year? With PhD, you'll activate your body's natural appetite control, burn fat safely, and stay in control. Even if you're already on Ozempic, PhD can help you transition off while still losing weight. Take the first step today. Call 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. Well, here we go, folks. What is this, day 29 now of the government shutdown? Once again, Democrats in the Senate, led by Chucky Schumer, have blocked Republicans' 13th attempt to reopen the government. 13 times. 13 votes. Think about that. 13 times Republicans have tried to get paychecks flowing again, to fund our troops, to fund our air traffic controllers, our food assistance programs. 13 times Democrats have said no to opening the government, but yet they want the American people to think that they're working for them. They're the ones going on TV saying Republicans are holding the government hostage. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. Let's start with the facts. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, a Republican from South Dakota, a decent man. I really believe he's trying to serve the people who have sent him to the United States Senate and serve America. Tried once again to bring the House-passed continuing resolution to the floor. It's a clean bill. It's designed to reopen the government. No games, no poison pills. And again, what happened? Senator Schumer, Senate Democrats, well, not all of them. John Fetterman still voting the right way, still putting the country first. But they blocked it again. Now, while Chuck Schumer's busy giving press conferences about protecting Obamacare subsidies, real Americans are missing real paychecks. And as someone who just flew halfway across the world over the last couple of days, air traffic controllers did not get paid. And that's starting to ripple through our nation's airports. Delays are mounting, safety concerns rising. These are the same men and women who keep our skies safe every single day. The military, the men and women in uniform, are set to miss their first full paycheck this week. That's not political. That's just downright disgraceful on the Democrats' part. And federal nutrition benefits, the SNAP program, food stamps, are about to hit a cliff on Saturday. The very same day open enrollment for Obamacare kicks in. But let's talk about the SNAP program. There are a lot of people out there who depend on that program for food. It's just that simple. And a lot of those people spend their entire monthly allocation and they're waiting on the first of the month to roll around so that they can go buy groceries again. And unless something happens, that's not going to work this weekend. You see, the Democrats are protecting their own political program, Obamacare. That's more important to them than Americans eating. That's more important to them than some elderly person sitting in their apartment waiting for their SNAP benefits to be reloaded. Schumer is holding these people hostage. He's holding the paychecks of soldiers, of working Americans hostage for Obamacare. Republicans, to their credit, have tried to take a practical approach. They proposed rifle shot bills, small targeted funding bills to pay our troops, for example, to fund air traffic controllers, to keep the food benefits going. But no, the Democrats, it's all or nothing for them. Even those ideas have been blocked. Why? Because Chuck Schumer and his Democrat caucus, they don't want to solve the problem. They want the pain of this shutdown to linger. They want headlines. They want to say, see, the government doesn't work under Republicans. It's just graceful. They want chaos because chaos benefits them politically, or at least they think so. And you can tell it's political because Schumer's already blaming President Trump for being overseas this week. He actually said, and I'm paraphrasing, we can't move forward because Trump's not here. President Trump doesn't vote in the United States Senate. He doesn't get a vote over there. The Senate doesn't need the president to pass a bill to reopen the government. They could do it right now. They could do it today, but they won't. Because it's not about policy, it's about power when it comes to Chuck Schumer. And let's talk about power for a second. Democrats are using this shutdown to force what they've wanted all along, a permanent extension of the Obamacare subsidies. Billions of dollars in taxpayer funds to keep propping up a broken system that was supposed to lower health care costs, but instead doubled premiums for the middle class. And Schumer had the nerve to say Republicans know damn well what Democrats want. His words, he said they want lower health care costs now. We all want lower health care costs. Who doesn't? But we don't want the government to shut down. We don't want some elderly person going hungry because their SNAP benefits are not being replenished. You'd be talking about, Schumer would be talking about choice, about competition, about letting small businesses and families buy insurance across state lines if he had any sense. Things that President Trump and the conservatives have pushed for years, but no, he wants to go to the tired old Obamacare. They've weaponized the health care system to serve political donors and bureaucrats, and now they see it coming to an end, and they see disaster. The Democrats want government control. They want government money. They want government dependence. Now, let's zoom out. What's really happening here is that the left is playing political chicken. They're playing political chicken with America's paychecks. You've got hardworking American, TSA officers, air traffic controllers, federal workers, troops again, who are being told to show up and do their jobs. But sorry, we're not going to pay you this week. Chuck Schumer gets his check. AOC gets her check. But no, we're not going to pay air traffic controllers. You've got families, again, relying on SNAP benefits who are wondering if they'll be able to feed their kids next week. And while that's going on, what are the Democrats doing? They're holding press conferences. They're talking about how it's just crucial that we extend Obamacare subsidies. Doesn't matter if you eat or not. We're gonna give you Obamacare. You know, folks, I've been saying this for years. When push comes to shove, the Democrat Party doesn't represent working people anymore. They've gone too far left. They've become too extreme. They represent the bureaucracy. They represent the system that depends on government staying big, the system that depends on government staying bloated, the system that seems to keep government broken. And when that system is challenged, when Republicans try to rein in spending or streamline the budget, the left digs in. They just shut it down. And they blame the others. They point the fingers at the Republicans. Now, I've got to give credit to some of the fighters in this. Again, people like Ted Cruz from Texas. He got a bill to pay air traffic controllers immediately. A single bill, carving them out. He said, I certainly hope it gets a vote. Nope, not going anywhere. Time after time, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats have proven they really don't care about America. They just care about the woke left agenda. We spent most of the day yesterday talking with people in and around Jerusalem about what they think about the peace agreement. And of course, the older ones who have lived through the years of conflict, they kind of have the attitude of, well, I'll believe it when I see it. and for good reason. As mentioned earlier in today's show, there's another violation of the ceasefire by Hamas yesterday, according to the Israeli Defense Forces, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is responding with force. I had the chance to speak with an Israeli yesterday whose daughter's fiancé was killed on October the 7th. This young man was a soldier in the IDF and was gunned down by the Hamas terrorists. Here's my conversation with Uri Avouskine. Your family was very much involved, just like the entire country of Israel, on October the 7th. You have children serving in the military. How was it for your family on that day?
On that specific day, on October 7, we were caught by surprise like the whole country. And fortunately, my 3 children were home on the night before, on October 6. So we woke up at home in our home near Jerusalem with the sirens and the whole country. And at the beginning, we didn't realize what's happening. And soon enough, it was clear, and my daughter was called to the army. My son was called to the army. They both went south to join units and to help and support with this situation that we encountered on October 7th.
Was that scary for you as a parent to have your kids going towards a conflict like this?
It was scary because of the uncertainty. We didn't know what are they going to, because it started with the missiles that was only in order to deceive us. But we didn't know what's really happening until we saw on TV around 8:30, 9 a.m. already seeing the white Toyotas and the reports in the radio and on TV. So by then we knew it's not the missiles. So we knew we are sending our children to their duty, to the army, and who knows what's going to be their missions and what are they going to face and be part of.
I've interviewed a number of people over the past couple of years, and everyone talks about that element of surprise, because you truly were surprised, right?
We were totally surprised, I'm saying, as a nation and as individuals, because we didn't see it coming. It was supposed to be a protected border with this billions of dollars wall to protect the border. So this was really something that nobody was expecting. This was, I would say, amazing, but amazing has a positive connotation. This was shocking.
Your daughter's fiancé at the time, he didn't make it. Tell us the story of your family searching for him.
So General Shiloh Har-Even, he was the fiancé of my daughter. They were supposed to get married in the summer of 2024. And he was head of Nahal Oz, of the army base. And that morning, he went at 5 o'clock with his soldier to check the fence, according to the regular protocol. And afterward, they were called by 6:30. And he realized that it's not just missiles. This was very unusual. And then he went into the heroic fight and fell with his soldiers and trying to protect Nahal Oz army base. But they were killing many terrorists and Nukhba along the way, but eventually they could not save Nahal Oz army base. And then we went with our daughter to look for him after we didn't hear from him for a day and a half. We went to the hospitals looking for him, and we were not alone. Many Israelis went to the hospitals with no information, with nobody notifying you anything, because nobody knew. You just saw hundreds of Israelis going from hospital to hospital looking for unidentified people.
Wow, that's heart-wrenching, knowing what you're going to, because you had to be thinking, he's not answering his phone, he's not returning texts, so it's probably not good.
It's probably not good. The biggest nightmare was that he's kidnapped. And when somebody doesn't answer his phone, you don't know if he's dead, alive, or kidnapped. So we had all scenarios, and we were just there, my wife and myself, around our daughter in order to be around her and support her and escort her through the process of searching for Shiloh.
Yeah. 2 years later now, your daughter has again found a special person, I understand, and also adopted a dog from Gaza.
Yes, it was very important for my daughter to adopt a dog. She wanted to support somebody. She needed support and she wanted also to support. So it was important for her. There were many animals from the kibbutzes and from Gaza during the war. We were all busy with the human beings, but the animals also had their part of the October 7 attack. And 2 weeks after the funeral, we went with her on a Saturday morning to Herzliya to a dog's adoption center, and we adopted Lola, 3 months old puppy. And they have a special bond, my daughter and her, and she's amazing. And I'm a proud grandfather to Lola, and we are taking care of her, and they have a special connection. They understand each other. Each one of them, my daughter and the dog, come with their own baggage of crisis and personal traumas.
And Lola is about to have a new dad because next year your daughter's getting married.
Yes. Thank God. About 14 months ago, my daughter started to see a new guy. She has chosen life over death, and she said it during the funeral of Shiloh that she will continue with life and she will get married and she will have children because she is there to continue with the lives. Otherwise, his death was not worth it. And then she got Yanai into her life, and last month he proposed to her. So in June 26th, there's going to be a great wedding, and we are so excited about it.
Congratulations. Let's talk a minute now about where we are now. A few weeks ago, a ceasefire agreement. How do the Israeli people feel about this? Do you feel that this is a permanent peace agreement?
I don't think it's a permanent peace agreement because we live in a very tough neighborhood. And when President Trump, and thank God for President Trump for reaching this ceasefire or peace agreement or however you want to call it, for us what's important is that it was the end for now of the war, get the 20 live hostages back home, and hopefully get all dead hostages kidnapped back home. Now we still have 13 or 12, it's still not clear, still in Gaza. So for the time being, it's the best thing we could have thought about it. Otherwise, it was an everlasting war and with no real purpose. Whether it's going to sustain for a long time or less, I think not for too long, because Trump is usually doing deals with business people in the Western world, and this is not really the equivalent.
Yeah. Americans feel like that our president, Donald Trump, played a big role in this peace agreement. Do you agree?
I totally agree to that, because I think that President Trump saw the big picture, and he realized that he had to interfere and that he has to impose the direction. Otherwise, both sides will go different directions. So having the adult in the kindergarten giving the directions and taking control was the right thing, was the thing that we needed in order to end this war for the time being.
Some people compare your prime minister, Netanyahu, with our President Trump. They're different types of leaders. Trump can be polarizing, according to some of his detractors. The prime minister can be polarizing. Is that a fair assessment to compare them as being similar type leaders?
I think they have, in some ways, some similarity in the style, but they are very different. I think that our prime minister, he has a different history. And in America, you have 2 terms limit. Here we don't have it, which is part of the challenge we are facing now. So there are some lines of similarity and many that are not.
What is your hope for the next month, for the next 6 months, for the next year, as far as peace, and what's next for Gaza?
My hope is that America, that put everything together with the supporting countries, will be able to enforce and to keep the agreement in the coming months. I'm not talking about years. In the Middle East, days and weeks are a long period. I hope they will keep it, and I hope that we will be able to form some kind of a solution for the Gaza because it cannot continue with Hamas. And the way it's going now, we see it's Hamas taking control again. It must be a different solution. Otherwise, we will get back to October 7th, number 2.
And do you welcome the America's involvement in that?
In the current situation, I welcome Americans' involvement in this very much, because without America, the existing actors in this show, in this game, are incapable of putting anything like this together. We need somebody strong with a perspective from outside to make the order and to make the arrangement between the different forces and the different conflict of interest that we share here.
Thank you. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Continuing this special broadcast from Jerusalem, I arrived in Israel early Tuesday morning. And of course, flew into Tel Aviv and then made our way over to Jerusalem. And boy, what a great trip we've had so far, just talking with the Israeli people. A little bit dicey yesterday as we got news of the Hamas terrorists once again breaking the ceasefire literally just down the road. There was an interesting twist on Tel Aviv's Fashion Week. And after arriving at the airport yesterday and driving through Tel Aviv, I saw signs throughout the area about Fashion Week. And Fashion Week evidently is a big thing in Tel Aviv, kind of like it is in Paris and other large cities around the world, but particularly so this year because there was a bit of a twist. After a 2-year pause brought on by the war, Tel Aviv Fashion Week made its return this past weekend and started on Sunday. And this year's runway wasn't just about fashion. It was about courage. It was about healing and a deep national bond here in Israel. In what has been described locally as a powerful opening, survivors of captivity, some of the hostages from Gaza and their family members were the first to walk the runway. Among them, Danny Moran, whose son Omri was recently freed, Rotim Shari, niece of El Sharaba, and Karine Shurf Shem, mother of Mia Shem, who was returned to Israel in late 2023. The runway moment was set to a live performance by a very popular Israeli singer, Shiri Maman, and the Israeli Opera Chorus. The show was titled Until the Last Hostage, a name that resonated deeply with the audience and the country, according to local reports that I've been able to read through. I mean, how special is that? The event was attended by Michael Herzog, wife of President Isaac Herzog. She later shared a message that summed up the evening. We are all one human fabric. Tel Aviv Fashion Week is celebrating its 60th anniversary this year. Originally launched in 1965, it has become a showcase not only of style, but just of Israeli unity and Israeli identity, reflecting the resilience, the creativity, and the unity of this very special nation. And this week, that runway became a symbol of more than just fashion. It became a symbol of return, of hope, and never forgetting those who are still missing. Now, talking about my trip over, a sobering thought as someone, again, halfway around the world, and come Saturday will be flying back into U.S. airspace. I hope that there are air traffic controllers at JFK to guide us back into the country. I mean, we talk about Washington dysfunction, the political games, the finger pointing, the headlines that sound like deja vu from every other government shutdown, and we were talking about the government shutdown earlier in today's show. But let's bring this home for a second, because for 13,000 air traffic controllers across the country, this isn't just about politics. Yesterday was supposed to be their payday. And as Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy told Fox News, and this was yesterday, today is the first day these controllers don't get any money. Now, how soon do you think they're going to start calling in sick? Think about that. These are the men and women who sit in control of towers from New York to Los Angeles, guiding thousands of planes through the skies every single day. They're not politicians. They're not bureaucrats. They're highly trained professionals who keep 800,000 passengers safe in the air every single day. And right now, they're doing it as volunteers. They're doing it without paychecks. Mr. Duffy shared a heartbreaking story that kind of sums it all up. He said, I had one controller tell me my 10-year-old daughter made the traveling volleyball team, and it cost hundreds of dollars. I had to tell her I couldn't pay it because I don't have a check coming in. I have to put food on the table first. Now, that's real life. That's not Washington spin. That's a father trying to do right by his family while the political class plays games with his livelihood. Duffy went on to say the first day is hard, but the second day is even harder, and the third day, because they have gas, they have child care costs. Now, remember, Senator Ted Cruz from Texas proposed to Chucky Schumer that they pass a single appropriation that would pay the air traffic controllers. Once again, the Democrats didn't want any part of it. They denied it. Now, Secretary Duffy's right when it comes to talking about the first day, second day, third day. It gets harder and harder. These folks aren't sitting on government pensions or stock portfolios. They're hardworking Americans who show up at work. And even when they're not paid right now, because they take their responsibility seriously, and boy, am I happy they do. They deserve better than being treated like pawns in a political chess, just like our military and every other federal employee who hasn't been paid because of this political game that Chuck Schumer's playing. Now, here's the reality back to the air traffic controllers. They're essential workers. That means even in a shutdown, they're required to report for duty. The control towers don't close. The planes don't stop flying. The safety standards don't change. But their paychecks have now stopped. And this is very concerning because, again, if these men and women go for a period of time and they're not paid, they very well may strike like they did years ago. And then that brings our air traffic to a screeching halt. And think about what that does to our economy. This isn't a small group. 13,000 controllers across the U.S., many already working 6 days a week because of staffing shortages. Now, again, they're volunteers. They're doing it for free. How crazy and how much longer is this going to keep going on? The left keeps saying they're for the workers. Well, why don't you be for the air traffic controllers, Democrats? Democrats aren't voting to open the government. They had a chance. They've had 13 chances, 13 opportunities to say yes to paychecks for federal workers for air traffic controllers, and they've said no. And now Secretary Duffy is asking the question every American should be asking: what are the Democrats fighting for? Because it's clearly not for working Americans. As Mr. Duffy put it at his press conference, let's fight for America. Let's not fight for health care for illegal immigrants. That's the wrong approach. While American citizens are missing paychecks, Senate Democrats are holding out for more spending on health care for illegal aliens, for people who should not be here to begin with. Now, again, there's a bill on the table. Senator Ted Cruz proposed it that would immediately pay air traffic controllers. Cruz said it best. Democrats not paying air traffic controllers is reckless. He's right. It's beyond reckless. It's dangerous. And boy, does it scare me to think about the idea of flying back to the United States this weekend, flying into JFK, one of the busiest airspaces in the world, and having these air traffic controllers, maybe some don't show up. Senate Democrats, led by Chuck Schumer, are blocking the Cruz bill and every other Republican attempt to reopen the government. It's just not right. We need to send a clear message that it's time to stop these games. That's it for today's show. Tara's up next, followed by Mike Gallagher in Jerusalem, Bill Frady, Charlie James, and I'm back again tomorrow from Jerusalem again for more of Sunrise Carolina. Till then, folks, remember, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at mypillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.